People often ask me, what is it like to have cerebral palsy? What causes cerebral palsy?
Yeah, so CP is usually caused from damage to the developing brain. That can be, more often than not, it's when the brain is developing in utero, so before the child is born, before the baby's born. The damage could come from mom having an illness or a fever, something that carries into the fetus. It could also come from some trauma during birth, so maybe there was a difficult birth, difficulty in the birth canal, things like that. Or it could be caused within infancy, the first few months of life, of some sort of trauma or injury, whether it's physical or medical or things like that.
When Drake was born, he was really premature. He had a twin sister, and it was pretty scary for his mom and me. It was touch and go. We weren't sure if he was going to make it or if his sister was going to make it. I think my wife was called in and to a room off of the NICU with a box of Kleenex and like a counselor of some sort, basically saying that Drake had experienced some sort of brain damage based on some tests they had done. And I remember I was at work at a meeting when my wife called me and let me know that. And again, I was kind of out of context and shocked, but when it really kind of hit home what Drake's life was going to be like, I remember being in the shower and just breaking down, just weeping.
When you were 4, you had a surgery called selective dorsal rhizotomy. And what that surgery is, for those that don't know, is it's a surgery that you get in your spine, and they sever the nerve endings to your spine that are overreactive and tightening your muscles. And it was a great surgery for you in the sense that it released a lot of the tight muscles that you had in your legs and allowed you to walk in your walker. It allowed you to be able to be much more independent with your mobility, getting in and out of your wheelchair and off and on chairs. So that was a great surgery.
So OT, occupational therapy, we are a breed of our own. Occupational therapists work on things you want to do and need to do and have difficulty doing. It's more, all right, I want you to hold this small thing in your hand, and I want you to give it to your left hand, and then I want you to give it to your right hand, and then I want you to pull these things apart. Because usually when he's doing things, his tendency is to do it with his left hand, and his right hand is out here or under here or anywhere else other than where it needs to be to help out. All right. So what I mean by using both hands together, for Drake, it's really hard to do something as simple to us as put this Lego piece on top of the head, or even to use both hands to kind of open it up. So this translates into everyday things of like opening up a Ziploc bag or opening up a bag of snacks, crackers, whatever you want. Extremely difficult for our guy here. So one thing that we've been working on in OT is, can we practice just taking these things that are smaller to grab and more difficult for his hands to manipulate and just pull them apart. So, pull it apart, my dude. Simple. Give me the red one. Now pull this one apart. Yeah, so when Drake sees the world, you see how his head is always down? Part of that is posture, but part of that is where his vision is. So like, if I took my eye line and cut it in half, what's below my fingers kind of doesn't exist for him. So he has to put his head down and look kind of through the top of his vision.
So the sidewalk is not ADA accessible, and especially downtown, because the sidewalk is unlevel. So like, my love and support of my family is very important to me. I feel like sometimes they don't understand what it's like mentally for me, and sometimes it gets really under my skin, and then I break down in tears because I'm like, I don't know, I want my life to change. Why does this have to happen? Like why is this such a struggle? Sometimes I ask myself, why do I exist?
Drake, can you brush? What do you, No, don't put your toothbrush in his mouth. Yuck. Okay.
I'm Lucy. I'm Drake's twin sister. A childhood memory that I have with him is that we were at a restaurant when we were about like 5 years old, and he fell off a chair, and some family friends of ours who were like kids started laughing at him, and I was like, that's my brother, that's not funny. That's like a little memory I have of us when we were younger. And then one thing that like can be a little annoying about having a sibling with disability is that sometimes it's hard for him to try things, and it can be a little annoying because you want to push him, but it's like hard to push him to do things. But yeah. Since
we learned about it and started to recognize and try to understand what it was to have a brain injury like the one Drake had that had a diagnosis of cerebral palsy, it's just opened up this whole other world to us of different people, of different levels of just humanity and kindness, and just a different way of experiencing the world that I want Drake's life to be as trouble-free and worry-free and as free of difficulty as can be, but it's also given him and us an amazing perspective on life that I don't know if I'd trade it.
What's the best thing about being Drake's mom?
What is the best thing about being Drake? It's like an emotional question. I would say that I didn't know a lot about disability before Drake was my son. I didn't grow up with people with disabilities. I didn't know people with disabilities. And so when Drake was born and had a disability, it was sort of the first time that I got to see how people with disabilities live in our world. And it's made me really aware of like how not accessible our world is for people in wheelchairs, and how hard Drake has to work to do things that are so simple for so many people. I would say that's the best part about being Drake's mom is getting to watch his attitude and how hard he tries, and just seeing how hard Drake tries to do things that other people can do and take for granted probably, and just sort of the awareness and empathy that I have now that I don't think I had before Drake, or I would have had if I hadn't had a child with disability. So I always try to think about that as well.